everyone. So I have a question for you all. How many of you have thought about where your food comes from? And before we get too much into it, I'm not just talking about like prepackaged foods like crackers or snack foods, but your fruits, vegetables, and meats. Have you guys ever thought about where that comes from? I think a lot of us assume that when we go to the grocery store, like Giant, we assume that our fruits and vegetables come directly from a farm near us or are fresh. But in reality, there's a lot going on in the food industry that we don't know about. So, my proposition today is that the American food industry is full of contradictions, false advertising, and shortcuts. Although some may feel powerless as consumers, and especially us as college students, there are ways that everyone can make a difference. We need to make a stand for healthier, more fresh, and organic options so that there can be a nationwide change in the food industry. I propose that if we, even as young adults, are informed of the issues in the food industry, we can make better choices, because every purchase you make is a vote to the food industry of what should be continually produced. So, that brings us to the food industry. Is every bite what we think it is? So, the first issue in the food industry I want to talk about is the contradiction. And the first contradiction is MyPlate. Has anyone learned about MyPlate in high school, health class? I know when I was in elementary school, it started out with the food pyramid and had your grains on the bottom, and that's what you should eat the most of, and it gradually went up to fats on the top, which is what you should eat the least of. Well, recently, they've switched over to MyPlate. It's considered the new food pyramid. As you can see, it's a lot more, the sections are a little bit more equal in size, and fruits and vegetables are equally split between grains and proteins, but out of all of these sections, vegetables are the biggest. So this looks really great. It looks like a healthy diet. However, the food industry does not support this diagram because the crops that they give us to eat, they don't support fruits and vegetables. So what I mean by that is that wheat, corn, and soy are currently subsidized, which make nutritionally inferior byproducts, which I'll talk about more later, but all that stuff is made into xanthan gum and high fructose corn syrup, which goes into our pre-processed foods. So corn, wheat, and soy are being produced more than fruits and vegetables, providing more nutritionally inferior byproducts than fruits and vegetables, therefore making fruits and vegetables more expensive. So for this to change, fruits and vegetables would have to be subsidized over corn, wheat, and soy. Along with that is the problem, as I started to mention, is the pricing of the food. You can go to McDonald's, Burger King, anywhere like that, and get a burger for 99 cents. However, a fairly cheap salad is $5. At the grocery stores, even a head of broccoli is more expensive than a burger. A head of broccoli costs about $1.29. So people in poverty or people who need a quick snack, they're going to go for the burger because that's more filling than a head of broccoli. And who likes to eat a head of broccoli by itself? So candy, chips, soda, fast food, it's all cheaper than fruits and vegetables because of the oversubsidization of corn, wheat, and soy. So all of this ties into the industrialization of food, which began with fast food, which all started with McDonald's. McDonald's started as a little restaurant. People would drive up in their cars, and waitresses would come out to the cars, take people's orders, take them inside, and then bring their food out to them while people sat in their cars. Within a few years, McDonald's did away with this and started with the drive-thru, making food faster, and people had to do even less work. So over time, McDonald's increased in popularity, and other fast food chains were added on, such as Wendy's and Burger King. And now McDonald's is the largest purchaser of ground beef and potatoes, and one of the largest of pork, lettuce, tomatoes, and apples. So they're essentially running the industry and can control the farmers and what they're subsidizing. And the goal of the fast food industry is really faster, fatter, bigger, and cheaper. So because of this mentality, it changed the chicken and the farmer. So in the hierarchy, you have your chickens, and then the farmers over the chickens, but the company is really controlling everything. So because the company owns the chickens, they want as much meat as possible so that they can sell more. So now chickens are raised and slaughtered in half the time they used to, and are bigger and fatter with more white meat because they've been genetically altered. As you can see, in 1957, chicken's a lot smaller. 1978, it's getting bigger. 2005, even bigger. And all up in here, this is the white meat. So they're increasing the amount of white meat because that's what people like to eat. The problem with this, though, is that it's not good for the chickens. They can't even walk because there's too much weight also the chickens are kept in like these little dark houses, and there are just thousands of chickens everywhere. They can't move because one, they can't walk, and two, there's too many chickens. So they're not treating chickens humanely, and it's genetically altered. It's not real food, it's industrialization. Basically, food has become an assembly line even on farms. So as I mentioned before, wheat, corn, and soy is all overly subsidized. And a lot of food is just corn in other forms because of food engineering. So some of this food is put up on the screen right now. You can see there's like peanut butter, jelly, french fries, that all comes from high fructose corn syrup. Corn also goes into xanthan gum, gluten, a lot of other byproducts. Even things that aren't food like Motrin is made from corn. And the reason that there's so much corn being used is because farmers are paid to overproduce corn because you can purchase it for less than the cost of production. You can also feed it to animals because it's cheap and makes them fat, giving them more meat. So like beef, pork, fish, they all have corn in them. As you can see, your corn-fed meat and your grass-fed meat. Corn-fed is a lot bigger, but the grass-fed meat is a lot leaner. On the corn-fed, you can see all the fat down the sides, whereas grass-fed has just got that little bit in the middle. The last issue I want to talk about with the food industry is the issue of E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria. You get it from when you drink water or eat food that's been contaminated with feces. So as you can see the diagram on the top, the E. coli is in the gut of a cow, and then you can see like the meat's up there. So a lot of farmers have to get the E. coli out of the cow before they can give us meat. So studies have shown that if you stop giving cows corn and give them grass instead, within a few days they shed 80% of the E. coli in their gut. But the industry does nothing about this because they're looking for efficiency, and it's cheaper to give cows corn. Another issue with this E. coli is a lot of places like McDonald's, to kill the E. coli in meat, they use ammonia to clean out. And for those of you who don't know, ammonia is like a very strong poisonous cleaner. So that's toxic for your body. So they're clearing out toxins with more toxins, essentially. So the ways to prevent E. coli is to cook your meat really well. That's why there's rare, medium rare, and well done. The more rare your meat is, the higher the chances are of you getting E. coli. But you also need to really be aware of where you're buying your meats from. So what does all this mean for us? It sounds like the food industry is terrible and we're all going to die because what can we do? But even though like this requires a global change, there are things we can do. Studies have shown that the average consumer does feel powerless, but in reality we are powerful because every time you make a purchase, you're voting on what you want. So if you're purchasing lots of food made with nutritionally inferior byproducts, you're telling the industry that's what you want more of. But if you're purchasing more fruits and vegetables, you're telling the industry that that's really what we want. So when you're at the supermarket, buy things that are in season and grown locally and from companies that treat their animals and workers right. You can also buy local, which I realize can be expensive, and we're all college students. But it can be fun to go to a farmer's market with your friends. There's a lot of times free samples, and you can walk around and see the animals and all the food. And you can also do fun seasonal activities like go apple picking, which right now apples are 89 cents a pound at Paula's Orchard, so highly recommend. And there are things we can even do on campus. That's why we have a sustainability office. You can purchase foods from our little garden right here. And even in Lottie, by picking fruits and vegetables, you're telling our school that that's what we want more of. So then they'll purchase more fruits and vegetables for us. So in conclusion, although this requires a nationwide change in the food industry, there are things we can do as college students to live healthier lifestyles and send a message to the food industry. By being aware of our options, we can make informed decisions because we shape the future. In the real world, and even here at Messiah, we can push for a systems change. And it can all start with you. You can change the world with every meal you eat and every bite you take.